honestly, you could put the Bible on the side for a second. Purely secular worldly view, I just don't even think that's a good idea.
No.
Exposing yourself sexually to 50 people, like the potential of STDs, the potential of getting someone pregnant, and then that leading either to a broken home or an abortion.
If God wanted a man to have 50 wives and for I don't know how many children, he would have done that in the garden. But he gave one wife.
Because we didn't follow that guide that we were supposed to from the beginning,
right?
We find ourselves comparing us as young men, young adults, that we were pretty much put in front of any type of porn. You start comparing to that,
right?
Because you don't know what else to compare to,
right?
So you're assuming that is what having sex or making love or whatever it may be,
right?
Should be like,
right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the A5 podcast. Today, I am joined by the boys. We got Richie, we got Sandro, we got Alex. Woo-hoo. Alex has been gone for a while, but we got him back. And we have a great episode today. We're going to talk about worldviews versus Christian views, specifically on what the world calls and defines as success, what the world defines as marriage, and what the world defines as fatherhood. And we're just going to go ahead and we're going to dive into that. But before we do, thank you everybody for supporting us on YouTube, on Instagram. Every like, every comment, every subscription helps us out so much. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Make sure you guys also comment. That helps us out so much, pushes us out into the algorithm to get our message out there further and deeper into the world. But we can go ahead and we can take it away. So do we want to go ahead and react to the video first?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the video. We found this video online by a very popular, what would we call him? He's probably like influencer / podcaster /
another Andrew Tate of sorts.
Yeah, kind of. I think they're actually not related, but they've done work together.
Yeah, they've done work together.
So we're gonna react to a clip that we saw that I think at least his perspective. What's his name? I know his podcast is called Fresh and Fit. What was his actual name?
I don't know his actual name.
The gentleman from Fresh and Fit. Shout out, come on the pod. We'd love to have a conversation with you. I think he's in Miami, so he's local. But yeah, we fundamentally disagree with his worldview as it relates to particularly marriage and women, right? So we're just gonna get into it. We'll react to this video. So you can go ahead.
So can I ask a quick synopsis of what you think the prescription is for society today for men? In a short version, what do you think they should do to be successful with women?
To be successful with women, okay, are we talking about like getting a girl for a long-term relationship, just to get laid? What are we talking about?
Well, I think the only reason should be for a long-term relationship and marriage. I mean, as Jesus Christ founded it, but I'm just curious what your prescription is.
Well, I've talked about this. I think guys have to have certain things in place, right, before they want to get into a long-term relationship. It's 5 things. So I would say $100K per year, 6 figures a year, 6 months to 1 year of savings, be in good shape, have at least 50 partners, right, sexual body count.
All right, and then is that the last one?
And then there's one more, but that's fine. You could go ahead and engage with what I've said so far.
So the reason I asked that is I've watched almost every single podcast you ever did for about 1.5 years. So much so that I bought into a lot of the things that you said. And for about 2 years, it led me astray and significantly damaged my personal life, including relationships.
How did it lead you astray?
Well, you told me to go sleep with a bunch of women and date multiple women at the same time, which I did, and it significantly damaged my life. And it wasn't until I actually turned around and started listening to Jesus Christ that I was saved. Now I'm happily married. I have one child now with another one on the way, and I've never felt happier. But I felt...
Congratulations, that's good. That's really good.
Thank you. And I know you're not against that, but my concern is what you're saying to men leads them astray, because I'm a walking example of it. And I think you're significantly damaging people, and especially you're leading people away from morality. Women are not sex objects. Women are created in the image of God, and they are valuable. And they should be treated as such.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
First things first, I think, he mentioned 4 things that he thinks you need before you get into a long-term relationship.
First 3, I can agree with.
Absolutely.
Money,
he said money,
savings.
We need to be providers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I agree with the exact amount of 100K. If you got that, praise God. It's nice.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Right.
He said money. He said
fit.
Being fit. Absolutely. Physically fit. That's good for your health.
And savings.
So again, that's all good. We agree on. where it goes completely
My
left
man
field.
takes a left turn.
Like, it's like, man, 50 partners, man, and sexual partners. He said, I think he said sexual partners.
Yeah. That's what he meant.
Like, bro, there's so much wrong with that. And honestly, you could put the Bible on the side for a second, because obviously we're going to come at it from the Judeo-Christian worldview. We're going to have Bible to back up why you shouldn't do that. But from a purely secular worldly view, I just don't even think that's a good idea.
No.
Exposing yourself sexually to 50 people, like the potential of STDs, the potential of getting someone pregnant, and then that leading either to a broken home or an abortion. Like so much wrong that could go with 50 partners. And on top of that, the emotional damage that you could cause to people or yourself, right? And then if we go on the spiritual side, we believe that when you have sex with someone, you create a soul tie. And so every time you just have sex with someone and just move about your day, your soul gets, in my opinion, emptier and emptier, because you're just giving a piece of yourself away to different people.
Right.
So, to me, there's so much wrong with that. But I don't know if you guys want to chime in on, as to why sleeping with 50 people should absolutely never be a requirement in order to be in a long-term relationship.
I mean, for me, just the soul ties alone is a big issue, right? Like I obviously before I was married and before I gave my life to Christ, I was very promiscuous, especially in high school. No business being promiscuous at like 15, 16 years old. But that's the type of world that we grew up in,
right.
you know? Like my father lost his virginity at like 12 to like a grown woman. So it's like, that type of stuff then gets programmed into the next generation. And then we think that that's normal. So then literally I remember being in high school and telling myself, I can't graduate and not have lost my virginity. Like those were the thoughts in my head at 15. I'm 15 years old. No 15-year-old should be having any type of anything. You shouldn't even be having relationships at 15, because that's all going to lead nowhere. Yeah. Yes, you have your high school sweetheart, and maybe you guys might work out, but more often than not.
What's the percentage of that?
What's the percentage of that? Exactly. Yeah. So, I strictly just focusing on soul ties. That is the biggest mistake you can make, is go around and sleeping with a bunch of people. Yes, it feels amazing. I'm not saying it's not, right? Like if we had a pastor once say that, if you're sinning and you're not having fun, then you're not sinning right. Kind of a controversial, kind of a controversial take, but
sin feels good.
Sin feels good,
right? If it feels good to the flesh.
Correct.
It's appealing to the flesh. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a temptation.
Correct.
If it wasn't good,
right.
If something's bad, you're not going to be like, oh, I'm tempted. You know what
Correct.
I mean? It's like we said in that one episode, with Joseph running away from Potiphar's wife.
Right.
You don't run away unless it's a temptation.
Correct.
Right. And so
if she's fugly, you ain't gonna stick around.
Right. And so I wanted to go, and before we move forward, I just want to say this as a parenthesis. Like, if you are someone who's been promiscuous in your past, are currently promiscuous, and you've had a plethora, 50 plus women in your body count or whatever, this is not a conversation to shame you or condemn you. There's forgiveness, there's redemption in Jesus Christ. We are simply reacting to the gentleman's point of that being the standard or the foundation for launching a long-term relationship.
Correct.
Right. So if you do fall in that category where you have messed up and you've slept with more people than you can remember, man, there's grace and mercy available for you through Jesus.
Correct.
Anybody else want to chime in, like, as to like maybe the detriment? Or the
it is. I can definitely say it is. I would have to start by saying that it's a generational thing for those that are not involved or don't have that walk with God. Because as far as I can remember, I'm kind of like your dad, unfortunately. I did lose my virginity at 12, 13 years old. And the woman, it was a woman, she was 22.
That's wild.
That's crazy.
Obviously, it's topics that we really don't touch.
Yeah,
if it's
right.
the opposite way around, is always looked at, is shameful.
Yeah.
Right.
But for us, it's kind of, at least what we've been taught culturally, that that's okay. You're supposed to do that.
Not only is it okay, but you would. I mean, I don't know if you want to share this, but like if you shared that with anybody, you would have been the man at 12, 13 years old, sleeping with a woman that's 22.
100%.
You would have been the man. It would have been celebrated. It's not even okay. It's a celebration that you slept with someone 10 years older. But flip the gender roles. What is that today?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's shameful.
If it's a man, 22-year-old man sleeping with a 13-year-old girl,
it's
yeah.
A at this point.
Yeah.
So to kind of piggyback off of that, I just think it's a cultural thing where I remember even, my uncles, though, it would be as a joke, but they would be like, hey, look, check out this group that I got performing. I mean, that like I got like a video of them in a live concert or whatever, and they'll turn it on and it end up being porn. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then it's like, you as a kid is kind of like, to a certain extent, it's very impactful to the eye.
Of course.
But it starts to trigger things in you that now, and in hindsight, is like, wow, I was being laid. I was being, pretty much just walked in astray.
Yeah.
It was like the blind leading the blind.
Right.
So now being a man of God, I mean, it's pretty much what Sandro said. There's just so many things on the table that you're allowing, or you're opening the door for. STDs, children, and realistically, if you're just having sex with anyone and you're just out there just doing what you do, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna end up with that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
More than likely, the chances are a lot slimmer of that even working out. So that's where that comes in, those fatherless homes, those, just you as a person being broken, and then even taking it a step further, those soul ties.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yes. I think that is the biggest deal, because once you do that with someone, there's just so much that's transferred, their issues, their insecurities, your insecurities are transferred to them. Like, all these things are pretty much, in cahoots to kind of want to stay away from it. But, once again, our culture just shows us that this is what you need to be doing. And, I mean, it just causes so much, for men, because to kind of pull back from it now, you have to be strong enough and be around a group of men that hold you accountable, right, to the point where it's like, man, why am I even doing this?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I was good in the world. I was doing my thing. I was the man, where now it's like, dang, I was tripping. Like, what was I thinking? Like,
Let me ask you something, Alex. In that specific topic, how you opened up, you said it's a generation thing. Go far back. Where do you think it started in the generation? In your mind?
In my mind, bro, I just think people haven't maybe walked the walk. And yes, people go to church all the time. And I know, like, I would hear my dad and like my grandfather, say, yeah, I'll go to church. But it wasn't like they were really involved, or it wasn't like they were really like reading the word or spending time with God or any of that. It was more so like them going because they were forced, or because maybe school, the school that they went to, they had services involved and they would just be a part of it, but they weren't really there to listen or to really pay attention. And it just goes back, because I remember stories even of, let's say, my dad telling me where he would have to go pick up my grandfather at a bar,
right?
Because his mom or my grandmother would tell him, hey, go get your dad. And then he would find his dad, with another woman there at the bar while he went to go, pretty much pick him up or tell him, hey, listen, come home.
Yeah.
So that does things to people,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
especially knowing, like, my mom just sent me here to come get you, and you're here
with another woman.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's why I say it's a cultural thing, because especially in the Hispanic community, it's just that, I guess, what we call machismo.
Yeah.
Right.
Is just such a large thing.
Correct.
Like, especially back then. Like, back then, it's like divorce is not as freely as it is now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it was like women would take and put up with all this stuff.
Oh my gosh, dude.
You know what I mean? to keep their marriage or to keep their family together.
Right. Because
The idea of
Yeah.
marriage and the family, right?
Correct.
Because of cultural, social pressures.
Right.
Correct. Yeah, they stay together because they don't want to break that family unit, right? They don't want to hurt the kids. They don't want to, and also a lot of
Image
these
to society as well.
correct, but also these women, they don't really work. You get me?
back in
They
the
were
day, yeah.
they were bred in that's a bad word. They were, I guess, brought up in a way where it's like el hombre siempre trabaja, like the man is always the one that's going to work. He's always going to be the one that provides for you and protects you. You make sure that he's well fed, that his clothes are washed and ironed and ready to go.
Right.
You know? So, and I grew up with that with my grandfather because, his whole life, he's always had other women aside from my grandma, but my grandma knew this from day one, but she never left him because she was like, I have nowhere else to go, So it's like she stayed with him her whole marriage until she passed, knowing that this man was always out there hoeing about.
Right. Like I can even go back. I don't even got to go that far. Like literally with my parents, my mom knew what my dad was out there doing.
Right.
Like I remember as a kid, as a very young kid, where my dad would leave on a Friday or Thursday and come back Sunday, Monday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there was no questions asked.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I could remember that when they split, when they separated, completely, I was already 22. So she literally waited until me being the youngest one in the house was old enough for her to be like, I'm done. And just, forget this. I don't care. I'm over and done with this.
Right.
Yeah.
So I kind of lived it because I saw it firsthand. And once again, in my mind, especially as a kid, is like, dang, I would never want to put my, my wife or my family through this. But unfortunately, a lot of the times we fall into those habits of what we know.
Right.
Or what we've seen. And it's just that comfort zone. And it's like, well, everything that you said that you didn't want to do, we end up doing.
Right.
Especially if you're not, following God and reading the word and just knowing more of him.
Right.
Yeah. So let me comment this way, because I feel like this just took me to way back in the day, even going Genesis and then moving from there. All right. What we got to find out what this guy's name is, because I honestly don't know who I want.
His name is Myron.
Myron something. Yeah.
Myron.
Yeah.
This mentality, I think, comes back to like of the time of kings. Of like, all right, a king could have like as many spouses as they wanted because they were the king, right? They were wanted to reproduce and have, the heir of the king. And I think somehow along the way, people have adopted that mindset into houses that are not kings.
Right.
It's like, I'm the king of this house.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring in as many women, or I'm going to do this, or you're going to cook for me. That kind of mindset has brought up. Now we're in this world of, man, if I can make 100,000, if I can make 1 million, then I am a king. I am a self-proclaimed king. So I can provide for these children that I'm going to have, right?
Right.
So that has opened up a world that I'm thinking of, like the Elon Musk of the world, right? How many children doesn't he have? He can have, like, in his mind, I can provide for them.
Right.
But like, let's be real. Like, how much of a father can he be available? Can he be available to be a present father?
Yeah, 'cause when you say he can provide for them financially,
Right.
what about emotionally, right? As a
Correct.
father.
There's that clip of Andrew Tate. I think we saw it or we shared it. Was where he talks about how he breaks down how he sees, because he's another one.
Right.
That he's got like 12, 13 kids
Yeah.
with a bunch of different. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, and he wants more.
And he wants more because his goal is that he wants to have like 50 kids or something crazy like that. Yeah, because his lineage, whatever. Listen, dude. Come on the show. Come on the show, and I might whack you with a Bible.
So it's that mindset that it's being, especially, so what happens? You're making that kind of money. You become that influential. then there's the weight of that responsibility. And what are you doing? You're promoting that to many young men into that. So see where the pattern just keeps falling, even from back then, from the times of kings into that. So going back to how I feel originally, how God wanted it, if God wanted a man to have 50 wives and for I don't know how many children, he would have done that in the garden.
Yeah.
Right.
But he gave one wife.
Yeah, and then there's people that are like, even Andrew Tate, he'll be like, oh, but there's the men in the Bible had many wives. And it's like, there's a difference between what God permitted or allowed versus what God ordained and what God intended, right? And God intended for man to have one wife. It's like you said, he didn't give Adam, Eve, and Gracie and Amanda and whatever. No, he gave one woman.
Yeah.
And so, and then obviously the men afterwards, then they start taking on masculine traits, right? Masculine traits. They start getting more women, desiring more women, more wealth, more power, more influence.
Right.
And yeah, man, I mean, there's so much to talk about there. One thing I did want to touch on is that point right there. Real strength comes from submission, not conquest.
Yeah. Which is the other half of what that young man said in that clip was, it wasn't until I started listening to Jesus Christ that my life turned around and was
correct. And again, real strength comes from submission, not conquest. And not only is that to submission to the Lord, saying, Lord, what is your will for my life? Submitting to what the word says, right? And when the word teaches that, you know, we ought to get married, that a man shall leave his father and mother and become one with his wife. One wife, it talks about marriage. And so if you can submit your life to that plan, it takes humility, right? To put aside your desires, your selfish desires, and not only submit to the word and the will of God for your life, but then like Alex said earlier, start submitting to other men around you, to do this life with other men around you, because you can't do this by yourself.
Right.
You cannot do it by yourself. I'm not saying you got to have 20 mentors and 30 friends, but you got to have at least a group of people that you can talk to.
For sure.
You got to have a group of people that you can submit to.
Especially when I think you were what we would say part of the world.
Right.
And then now you're in your walk, you know, with Christ. Especially like, and I speak for myself because I can even think back in, you know, even being at church and having a conversation. It was in a joking manner, but ultimately what was said was, you know, now being at the stage that we're at, I know the conversation came up about, you know, not having sex until marriage.
Right.
And I remember, I mean, this is, I would say a few years ago, but my response at the moment was, well, that's like buying a car without test driving it. And I know it sounds funny. And, you know, in my mind at that moment, it made sense.
Yeah.
Right.
But in retrospect, that's not the way to live.
Correct.
Because, I mean, you go to a dealership and you can pretty much test drive any car and not have to buy it.
Yeah.
Correct.
You know what I mean? The goal when you go to a dealership is for you to test drive the car, see yourself driving it, in it. You know, that's part of the sale.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? And obviously it's not a vehicle. Being with someone and just like, all right, cool, I don't like this car.
Right.
And I'm moving on.
My lease is up.
But how many people treat it like that? How many people treat women like that? Like, I used you as a piece of meat. I didn't like it. Next. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's so detrimental. And I actually heard a pastor respond to that that claim, right? I think it was Pastor Stephen Chandler. He said to that claim, because people say, oh, how do you feel about the people that say I got to test drive it first? And he said it was a smart comeback. He said, how often do you even keep a car for 40, 50 years? Right. So it's like people are like, oh, I got to test drive it because if I want to keep it, it's like nobody keeps a car for longer than 3 years. So even that logic is faulty, right? You're going to keep a car for 3-5 years, maybe. If it's at least 2-3 years, if it's a finance, maybe.
Correct.
You always change a car. So you can't use that same logic
Correct.
on marriage, right? And so, yeah, it's just, we need to redefine what masculinity is. We need to redefine what success is. And that's the problem with all these guys, the Andrew Tates, the Myrons, all the men that have the money, have the wealth, have the influence, have the fame. And then obviously that attracts women.
Right.
The problem is, I think, is that, so realistically, this is probably like maybe, I don't know if you could look it up. Renee, like what the percentages of these men in the world, right? Because it's probably like 1% of the world, but then you got a bunch of little like men everywhere wanting to be that, aspiring to be that. Because here's the thing, from a worldly perspective, Andrew Tate, if he's a millionaire, he could take care. I'm not saying I agree with that, but he can take care of 20 children financially.
Right.
Correct.
But then you want to be an Andrew Tate with 30K in the bank, and now you got 30 broken homes, 30 fatherless children,
Right.
in more debt than your eyeballs can
And
count.
child support up
Exactly.
the
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
And that's here in the States with that
Yeah.
mentality. Imagine in places like, South America that they just have children like,
Oh my
like
gosh,
nothing,
dude.
and they reproduce like nothing. And so imagine those homes and those mentalities, and that just keeps reproducing.
Right.
So at the end of the day, and look at where we are with our border, right?
Yeah.
And like now we have people coming into this country, but with those mindsets.
Correct.
So you see
Yeah.
how like it's a domino effect of the mindsets of, okay, no fundamental, excuse me, not having any fundamental thing of marriage, of like solid concrete, like, man, on the word of God. But it's just, this looks good, this feels good, so I'm just gonna have fun with it, play with it, and then peace out, I'm done.
My thoughts on one thing that you said, Alex, that you talked about the whole like test driving thing, because I've heard that too, and that was also my mentality. I'm like, dang dog, like what if it sucks? For real, and I think that's a valid concern for anyone that's waiting until marriage.
Yeah.
You want to have a good sex life. If I'm committing to you for the rest of my life,
100%.
I hope this thing is bomb, because you don't know, right? You have to have
But if you've never done it, it's going to be
Correct.
bomb for both of y'all.
Correct.
Because you don't have any way to compare it to anything else.
correct. But now, right? So are you talking about if they're both virgins?
Correct. I'm
Right.
saying that's God's
well,
perfect
first of all,
will.
That's a unicorn where we live, and you know that.
Fair enough. That's why I'm presenting God's plan.
Correct.
And granted, none of us here are unicorns. We've all fallen short of the glory of
We
God.
all fell short. Sorry.
Thank the Lord for His grace. And I'm so
Correct.
serious. Like, none of us made it. And
It's true.
But I'm saying that's God's plan. God's
Yeah.
intention was for that.
Right.
Because all these arguments, and please keep your thought. I just wanted to intercept because that's the problem. We have all these counter arguments like, oh, I got to test drive it. What if it sucks? None of these would be a question if we would have stuck to God's original intent.
Correct.
Right.
Because if you have nothing to compare it to,
Right.
it's gonna be bomb the first time you both enjoy it. Right. But sorry, go ahead.
No, so to that point, right, of like, oh, it's bomb when you first enjoy it. To address the men who think of like, oh, but what if it sucks? Like, I got to test drive it. You know what I'm saying? To be completely honest and vulnerable, I have so much faith. Literally, like I put God to the test when it comes to my sex life. I'm being so for real. Like, I was like, Lord, if I'm committing the rest of my life to this woman, I am believing that we're going to have an amazing sex life, and that I am going to be satisfied and she's going to be satisfied each and every single time we go to the bedroom. And I pray that this is going to sound weird. I pray that you are, I guess, there in the sense of like, I just pray that you bless it, our marriage bed, and that every time that we get together and we, consummate the marriage, that it's holy, and to be honest, my wife is gonna be like, I can't believe you said this on the air. We have a bomb sex life, dog. It's fire.
As you should. You should.
It's fine. I have never been disappointed. I love you, babe. I have never been disappointed. She's gonna.
Shouts to Bay.
She's gonna kill me. She's gonna be like, "Don't clip this." I'm clipping this.
But I have a question. I have a quick question.
Before you keep that question, Tim Ross always says,
Yeah, dude.
my wife and I put porn stars to shame.
Yeah, bro.
Tim Ross says that. Tim Ross, bro, he says that.
Yeah.
And good. It should be that way.
It should be that way.
The Bible says the marriage bed is undefiled.
Correct.
Go look it up. Yes, Ricky, go ahead.
And I'll ask it specifically to the married men. In this case, it's like, what identifies as great sex to your spouse specifically, right? Because I know what the world says great sex is, but I think, my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, I think if there's the foundation of communication, like knowing what your spouse likes and doesn't like, and you being comfortable to talk about those things, then okay, now you can perform.
Right.
But people just kind of go straight into it,
Right.
thinking like, I already know what to do. And
Correct.
so that's kind of like the communication aspect of it has to be like there, and even going into marriage, I would assume, like in what's it called, premarital,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, that's a question you get asked, is like sex.
right.
You
So-
satisfy him, you satisfy her. And don't ever deny each other unless you're fasting, which is I think it's
Biblical,
it's
yeah.
biblical.
So I'm just with that question. It's like, does that play a role, or is it okay? We got married and now we're just doing our thing in the bedroom.
I think the problem really, and I know I'm not married, but
No, but you were.
because I was.
You
but
was.
but I think because kind of like what Joe said, or to his point, because we didn't follow that guide
Yeah.
that we were supposed to from the beginning,
Right.
we find ourselves comparing. And whenever us as young men, young adults, that we were pretty much put in front of any type of porn, any type of
Right.
anything to that degree,
Yeah.
you start comparing to that.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you don't know what else to compare to.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're assuming that is what, having sex or making love or whatever it may be,
Right.
should be like.
Yeah.
Right.
When in reality, it shouldn't.
Right.
Like the reality is that that's not
Yeah.
the way to go.
Correct.
And us as men, when we already have had, various partners or whatever,
Right.
every guy, and correct me if I'm wrong, but excuse my French, we all want godly women and, excuse my French, and hoes at the same time.
Right, yeah.
In the bedroom, right?
Or expert level hoes
Yeah.
that is like, oh yeah, she satisfies me because she
Right,
does
right,
X,
right.
Y, and Z. And it's
correct.
like, that shouldn't be the way that we look at things.
And that's
Correct.
And yeah, absolutely,
That's good.
My mom actually told me this one time, and it's just a saying that she one time told me, and it really stuck with me. She essentially told me that a lot of men look for, she said, una dama en la calle y una peutea en la cama.
Right.
A princess in the streets
And a hoe in the
and
sheets.
a hoe in the. Oh, there you go. Is that a thing, or you made it up?
No, that's
Oh, it's a thing. Oh, I didn't know that.
A lady in the streets and a hoe in the sheets, baby.
Well, and so it's funny because Forrest Frank, actually, who's like a Christian artist, and I saw a podcast where he got vulnerable and he got emotional because he said that him and his wife, they waited till marriage, but he had a past with pornography. Like he had been addicted to pornography, as a lot of men are. And he said that his first night with his wife, he did something that like physically hurt his wife, I think. And his wife was like, ow, that hurt. And she was like, where did you learn that? And he said that he got emotional in the moment because he knew exactly where he learned it from.
Right.
And it's like, bro, and even it's so heartbreaking because even for them, like a couple who made it,
Right.
virgins to marriage. I mean, I don't know about virgins, but he said that they waited with each other. But even then, that moment that was meant to be so pure, what the enemy can take, man, because
Right.
of things like pornography, movies, and media, and ruining things, man.
Right.
And it's on both ends, because on men, we start comparing women. And then I don't know about y'all, but like when I struggle with pornography and I would see these men with, I'm like, dang,
I fell short, Lord.
2 hours? You know what I mean? Like an hour?
Yeah.
And it's real. It causes a comparison
Yeah, it
issue
does,
on both
100%.
ends. The women
Yeah.
feel insecure. I feel insecure. I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
And it's ruined everything.
For sure, and that's a loser mindset. That's a loser mindset because what's meant to be between a husband and a wife, now you're bringing in someone that you don't even know,
Yeah.
Right.
into your love life, into your sex life. So I'm
Correct.
like, why are you playing this comparison? This is a great moment between your husband and wives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be. Now, I will say this, to touch a little bit on what Alex just said. I'm a big believer now, knowing what I know and making my mistakes. It's why do you even want to date? If my opinion now, it's like, if you're dating and the end goal isn't marriage, why do you
Right.
want to do that? You have this
Correct.
opportunity to work on yourself. And this might not be popular. Nobody wants to hear it. The Andrew Tates of the world might cancel me for saying it. But if you're building yourself, if you're working towards something, the word says, seek first the kingdom and his righteousness, and everything will be given to you.
Yep.
Added on to you, if I'm being more specific. But if you're a man of goals, it's like, man, I really want to buy my house. I really want to set a foundation by the time I do get married, and I do want to consider someone to date for marriage. It's because that person's going to help me, because there's going to be gaps. I can't do it all alone. And I think that was what God intended to with Adam, and by bringing Eve. He shouldn't be doing it all alone. He needs a helper.
Right.
So if you're on that goal of, man, I'm working on this goal, I want a business, there's going to be gaps. And that wife should be that added support.
And to that point, I may shy away, but it's part of the conversation, which now us as humans, we want to wait for the perfect moment.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, we want to have everything aligned. You know, everything has to be in place before
Correct.
we make that jump.
Yeah.
And I can say that even in my situation now, for the past, 5, 6 years, 7 years, like that's been my mindset, because I went through a divorce and I lost so much throughout that process that it's kind of like I'm still recovering from it. Yeah. And with that being said, that was my mindset for a while until, we had the conversation yesterday where I'm like, man, the person that I'm with now, that was God sent.
Yeah.
That was God, doing what he does in my life, because I wanted to have my house. I wanted to have, be financially, stable, to have, 100,000 in the bank and debt free. And all right, now I can be with someone because I know I'm going to provide, because I know, if a divorce or anything ever does come from me getting remarried, I don't lose my house. I don't, end up on the street again. But that's not the way it was really, formatted or ordained for it to happen. Yeah. The reality is that we're not to be alone. And that's why, Eve was brought, into that, into that situation, because from the beginning, we weren't meant to be alone.
Right.
We're meant to do life with someone.
Right.
And that's the yin to your yang. No one's perfect. So whatever I may be lacking, my partner may be the one, that's picking up that slack.
Yeah, it's a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I think once again, it's just what we've been programmed throughout time. And sometimes with life, and it just shows you things differently when you're in this walk. I would definitely say that for sure.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel in regards to how everything that we've been talking about leads now to the children, when there are children involved?
That changes everything.
Yeah, I think that's a good segue into like the cohabitating. I think we have that. It's a big culture. I went through that, my previous relationship. I lived with my ex for about 5 years. And it was, I look back now in hindsight, and it was, just a waste of time, waste of money. It's exactly, there's a point here that from Chad that says you remove covenant. When you remove covenant, you remove accountability. And it's true. You remove accountability. The cohabitation does look easier. And that right there often leads to emotional detachment and instability, especially when kids are involved. Obviously, I don't have children, but that emotional detachment, my goodness, did I go through that big time. It got to a point where honestly, I would pride myself in the fact that, no one can hurt me. Because I'm so emotionally detached. I was like, she can't even hurt me because I'm so emotionally detached that I won't allow myself to be hurt. And it wasn't until I came to the Lord that I got convicted. And it was like, that's considered self-worship. Like you're idolizing yourself, and you're idolizing the fact that you're so strong and that you don't let anybody in. And, granted, it did stop pain from coming in, but then I also was pushing, my ex away. I was pushing my friends away. I pushed my family away just because no one can cross my boundary, right? Yeah. It's like no one was going to get in to hurt me, to offend me or whatever. But yeah, no, when kids are involved, I mean, I come from a broken home. Well, I think we all do. Right? Yeah. We all come from broken homes. My mom did her best, but it's tough, man. It's tough when kids are involved, and then out of nowhere, that father figure, your biological father figure, just leaves.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you guys wanted to chime in further on that.
That point of when you remove covenant, you remove accountability. That's why, to me, it's always been like when people in the world, they cohabitate, they live together before getting married. It's exactly that. You remove accountability because you and I are living together. We broke up. There's no, okay, you go your way, I go my way.
Right.
When you're in a marriage, there's a covenant. It's not just about you and me. We've made a covenant. We've made a commitment before the Lord, before a pastor, before our family and friends.
Right.
And that's the accountability, right? That's the way a marriage should be. A marriage should look like. So somewhere throughout history, we just bypassed the marriage and we're just like, let's just live together. Forget the covenant, forget the commitment.
Right. Because I'm already committed. So why do I need to?
And between you and I, right? But when it's just between you and I, there's no accountability outside of us. And so,
correct.
It's like you said, so you break up and then there's always emotional detachment because, man, when you live with someone, you go through so much.
You're sharing your life with this person.
Even if you just lived, like you are sharing so much spiritually. Even if you don't believe in God, newsflash, you have a spirit.
Right.
So
I mean, bro, to piggyback off of that, I lived it because I moved in with the mother of my kids before we got married.
Yeah.
And
did you have kids after or before you got married?
No, I had kids before. Like Imani was born. As a matter of fact, when I got married, Imani was 2 years old. She was
She was part of the wedding.
Okay,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I say that to say my mindset was always, well, if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
Correct. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm already committed to you. I'm already living with you.
We already got a kid together.
We already got a kid together. We're already doing life.
What more commitment do you need?
Yeah. Like, why do we need a piece of paper, to solidify what we have?
Right.
Yeah.
When in all reality, that's exactly what I was doing. I was not only leading myself astray, but I was leading my family astray as well.
Right.
Because now I want to show my kids so much more. And even when I have conversations with my kids and my girls about about them dating or anything like that, it's these conversations come up. And I come from a broken home and now they're part of a broken home. Right. And I've tried to do everything in my power to not only be the best father that I can be, but be as involved as much as I can be as well.
Right.
And I still feel that I fall short because unfortunately I'm just not always there. You know what I mean? We don't live in the same household, or we're not always in the same household. So it is just impossible for me to always be there.
Right.
And obviously me not being with their mom anymore, I can't just pull up and be like, yo, what's up? I'm here.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that changes the dynamics of everything.
Yeah.
We have the communication, and I'm so glad and grateful that I have someone, like her as the mother of my kids that I can communicate with. We have no issues. I can pick up the girls whenever I want. I can, if I need to, not pick them up on a certain day and just pick them up the next or whatever. We can work these things out, but ultimately I'm not always there.
Right.
Right.
So they unfortunately come from a background of a broken home as well. Besides the fact that, bro, I'll be honest with you. I know that one of the hardest conversations I've ever had to have in my life was to literally tell my kids that I was leaving the house.
Yeah.
And it was such an impact on my kids,
right.
Especially my oldest, where it affected her school. It affected, her thought process. She did for a very long time do the blame game on her mom.
Right.
because she is a daddy's girl, and mom was always at fault until I had to have the second hardest conversation of my life, which is, Papi, why you and mom didn't make it? Why did you guys split? And I had to be totally honest and be like, I messed up. There's nothing that I can tell you that's going to justify what I did. It's just, I messed up. That, was on me, because I could have done things differently, or I could have worked on my relationship if I was guided correctly, but a lot of the times when you have a group of men that you think are supposed to hold you accountable and no one's following God, everybody's going to give you a worldly answer.
Right.
Like, bro, why you put up with that, bro? Just keep it moving.
Right,
bro.
right.
Oh, nah, bro, if I were you, peace, bro. So all those things start to filter in your mind, then they do something.
And that's why it's so important, the people you have around you, right? Like, that's why it's so important that and we can remove Christianity from this area, right? Like, it's just you as a human, as a man. It's just a man. You need to have good people around you. I mean, dude, there's people who I see from high school that I'm like, bro, you are still acting at 30 years old like how you did when we were 15 years ago, brother, and you're still acting like that. Why? Because everyone around him is also still acting like that.
Right.
I'm like, bro, we're 30.
Or I hear the saying all the time where it's like, I'm trying to get it out of my system. Like, bro, what is it you're trying to get out of your system?
What do you have in you?
How long has it been in there, brother? Like, that's my number one question to you.
No, man, and it's like I actually told this to. I was having a conversation with my brother the other day because he wants to propose to his girl at some point. He loves his girl, and
Does she watch?
I don't know, but it's not a surprise. I mean, she knows he's gonna propose at some point. I mean,
No, I mean, I'll cut it. I don't mind cutting it.
no, it's all good. I mean, they both know that they want to get married at some point. I'm not saying when. Like, it's not a surprise. They're going somewhere.
Gotcha.
But he was asking me, like, do I think he's too young? And I'm like, no, dude.
How old is Jill?
I'm 26. He's got to be 23. So
That's when you got married.
I got married at 22, so I was younger than him.
Younger.
But yeah.
Kudos to you, Sandra.
Proposed to you, my brother. I mean, I got married at 26, so
I proposed at 21 and I got married at 22. So yeah, and I proposed. When I met you, I had just proposed.
You had just proposed, correct?
Yeah, I had just proposed. So yeah, I mean, what I was gonna say is that, like, I was talking to my brother, and because he was like, man, I feel like I'm too young to do this,
Right.
And he was just struggling with this pressure, the world, right? The world is like, oh, bro, wait, get married when you're older, go sold your wild oats, or whatever.
100%.
And I told him, like, you gotta. Who are you listening to? Who are you comparing your life to? Because in my life, I look at two groups of people, and on one side it's the uncles, the parents, the men who are still 30, 40, 50 in clubs, hooking up with people, but have a messy life. And then on the other side, I see faithful men of God who have their marriages, have their families, and I'm like, that's who I want to be like. That's the legacy I'm trying to leave behind.
Right.
I don't want to be 50 and having kids with 20 baby mamas. I don't want to be 40 and not having built anything in life. And here's the thing, I'm not talking about money. Like, man, the people that have been a faithful father, a faithful husband, and you got 2 kids, and it's not that you're perfect, because you make your mistakes along the way. And this is where I was going to give you your flowers, bro, because yes, you've made mistakes, but man, the example that you're teaching your daughters now,
Right.
bro, that what it's like to say, yes, I messed up, but because I've messed up, that's why I surrendered my life to the Lord, and now I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to do better.
Right.
Bro, the heck of an example that you not only are you leaving for your daughters, but for your children's children, bro. Like, you're changing generations. You're breaking generational curses. You're breaking cultural curses off your family,
Right.
But it took you to have the humility to say, man, I messed up.
Yeah.
It took you to say, man, I got to change my environment. I got to change the people I hang out with. Doesn't mean you forget about them entirely, and deuces, like, you still show them love and whatnot, but you're like, man, I have to build something different.
Right.
What I was building before, it was built on it wasn't built on the rock. It wasn't built on a solid foundation.
100%.
So again, it's not just about, sometimes we make mistakes in life, but the beautiful thing about our God is that there's grace, there's redemption, and man, there's real redemption. Like,
Amen.
I would argue that you have more peace and joy today, perhaps maybe with less money or whatever, but you have more peace and joy because your daughters are healthy, your daughters love you, your daughters are in the house of God. Like, every time I see pictures of Imani worshiping, bro, that picture is worth more than any amount of money in the world. Like
100%.
And so what you're building now is so much better, and I'm speaking for you, right? I don't know if you want to chime into that, but this is what I always say, like, man, we used to say this, like, give God a year of your life.
Yeah.
Give God a year of your life, unfiltered, like fully surrendered. Not like, I'll go to church, but I'll hold on to my finances. I'll go to church, but I'll still hold on to my hose on the side. You know, like,
Right.
Give God an unfiltered, unrelentless, unashamed year of your life. Surrender everything, your relationships, your finances, everything, your will, your desires, everything. And I'll pay you the money back that you tithed if God doesn't change your life in a year.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, God will absolutely change your life. And I wanted to read this verse out of 1 Corinthians 16. This is ESV. So Renee, when you put the verse afterward, it says, "Be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. Let all that you do be done in love." And I think the crux of this conversation is that we have to redefine what it means to be a man. The Bible says there, act like men. What does it mean to be a man? Man, to be a man means to be strong. But what does to be strong mean? It means to be a leader. It mean and leading sometimes means saying, "I'm sorry, I messed up."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And being honest with yourself, for sure.
Yeah.
And reality is that for me, that has been the mindset. I want to teach my kids different. I want to break those curses. I want to break those chains because I don't want them to fall into the same cycle that I was a part of.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I don't want them to think that it's okay. It's not okay. And I mean, even to this day, there's plenty of times when I find myself, apologizing to them for things that maybe I feel I should have done a little bit differently, or maybe I should have, not reacted or not spoke in that manner or whatever it may be. But that is my ultimate goal now. Now that I know different, now that I know better, my goal is to just show them the way and change that legacy, change that mindset. Because I would never want my kids to go through what I put the mother of my kids through.
Right.
Yeah. With that being said, honestly, with Sandro just sharing right now about giving God a year in your life, I'll just put it this way and make it more practical. You're in a lose-lose situation if you don't put God in the center of it. And I got a picture, right, of hearing about your grandparents. Your grandmother knew what your grandfather was doing, but just keep it like hush hush and turn the other way, and
And God forbid you called them out on it.
right. And then now I'm like hearing of Alex and your past of like in what happened there. It's like, and the world that we're living today are consequences of that, right? And not just you, I'm saying in a much larger scale.
Well, I was saying before you continue that I've always heard women say is, if you're going to do your dirt, just make sure I don't find out about it.
Yeah.
Look at that. So that's the problem.
Right.
That's the problem right there. That's even being okay to even say that. Just like, in my opinion, the word divorce shouldn't even exist. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're choosing marriage, all right, divorce isn't
Correct.
I choose the box before I choose divorce.
Right.
So that's a mindset. It's like, I'm in this all the way.
Right.
Yeah, I heard of how like every couple does something different for their vows or whatever. You guys did communion, right, for your vows? I think
With real wine.
sinner, but Jake,
Jesus turned water into wine, baby.
JK.
He kept the party going.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think we had our pastor pray for us and just by ourselves, but every couple does something different. But I heard this was really cool. I heard of a couple who, when they got married, as their, I don't know what that's called, like as their moment.
I guess it's like a tradition,
I guess
like a
right?
ritual.
Yeah, I've heard people some people mix café con leche, you know, they coming together. Like people
Yeah.
do different stuff to symbolize the vow, the union that's happening in marriage.
That's pretty fun.
I heard of someone who they grabbed a Bible, not a Bible, excuse me. They grabbed a dictionary and they cut out the word divorce from the dictionary.
Love that.
Wow.
Oof.
In our marriage, this word doesn't exist. In our dictionary, this word doesn't exist.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And I think that's so powerful. And granted, there are moments in the Bible where it talks about the exceptions for divorce, like sexual morality,
Right.
Abandonment. I would argue abuse as well, but not divorce because we just fell out of love.
Yeah.
Not
Right.
divorce because we just grew apart.
Yeah.
No, man.
Right.
You got to work at it. Marriage
It's like
is
not divorced
love.
because my lease is up.
Love.
I gotta return the car.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's it. Lease is up. No, but what I was going to say is that love is a choice, and God chooses to love us each and every single day, despite our flaws, despite the sins that we commit daily. We sin knowing and unknowingly, the Bible says. So just think about the things that you probably do that offend God, and He hasn't even called you out on it yet.
Right. Good.
Because He loves you, because He chooses to love you.
Amen.
So in marriage, that's the same choice, man. Like, listen, there's some days that it's easier to love your spouse, and there's days where you're like, brother, I want to be in a desert right now, you know, and quiet, you know, like, and it's fine, and it happens, and it's both ways. Your wife is also gonna think the same way. Where one day, you know, there's some days it's easier to love you, and there's other days where I'm like, dang, I really got to choose it today, bro, because you are driving me up a wall. It's marriage. It happens the same thing with friendships. You know, yeah, we're all tight here and we all get along, but there's times where we do have tough conversations with each other, and we definitely have to choose to love each other, because it's like, dude, like, you're tripping. You know,
Especially with Alex. I'm kidding.
you know, he wasn't here, so he's got to get roasted. But one thing that I wanted, and we could end with this, was this, just to give hope, right? And I think we did a good job of that. But just to end it on this note, like, you know, to give hope to the guys out there who maybe feel ashamed of, you know, that they were promiscuous, that they've had multiple partners, that have gone through a divorce, stepped out of their marriage, whatever it might be. Man, there's, again, what Sandra was saying earlier, there's hope, there's redemption, there's grace for your life. Each and every single one of us here, and the ones that aren't present, we've all hoed, you know, and we're not proud of it.
Right.
But the thing is that the way you got to look at it, the way that you can forgive yourself, and the way that you can apply grace to yourself, the way that God is applying grace to you, is you did what you did with what you knew at the time.
Right.
You grew up in a home where people were showing you that it's okay to hoe about. You know, it's okay to have multiple women. You know, that's what makes you a man, right? And it ties back to what we were reacting to in the very beginning. You know, this young man said that, dude, I listened to everything that you said, and it damaged me more than I thought it would. And it wasn't until I started listening to Jesus Christ that I was saved, and that now I'm married. Now I have a kid. He's got another one on the way. So there's more peace in all of us today because of Jesus Christ than with any woman that we were with. Because I'll tell you this right now, just real quick, you look at the life of Andrew Tate and his brother. Look at the battles that those men are fighting right now, just because a woman is falsely accusing them of human trafficking. Those people are still dealing with that. And it might be false. And to be honest, I do think that is false. But why? Because you probably messed with a girl who you probably left her hung and dry, and now she's like, I'm gonna come for everything that you got, brother.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you go about and you go hoeing around and you go sleeping with people. And there's, again, women are emotional creatures. So what happens? They get emotionally attached. And that's what happens with sex. That's what a soul tie is. You start getting this supernatural emotional attachment to this person where you're thinking about them and you're with someone else probably. That's a spirit. That's a soul tie. Sorry. That's a soul tie. So there's more peace in being with one woman for the rest of your life, and having a family with that person, and having a God honoring marriage, than to be with 50, 100 women.
Yeah.
Solomon ended his life with 500 concubines, and he had over 3,000 something wives or whatever.
A lot of women.
A lot of women. and look at the book of Ecclesiastes. It is the most, Charlie Kirk is the one that actually said this.
Yeah.
The book of Ecclesiastes is the most depressing book in the Bible, because everything to him was meaningless.
Yeah.
He was like, hard work, meaningless. Life, meaningless. Why? Because he was so emotionally and mentally drained from being with all of these women, and these women took him away from God. after God specifically told him, don't intermarry with women from other cultures because they will cause you to commit idolatry. Apologize. And he did.
Right.
So
Yeah. There's a guy, and I want to give two quick examples of like modern day culture. There's a guy named Dan Zilberman.
oh, Dan Bilzerian.
That guy. I knew he had
That dude is a wild card.
But interestingly enough,
He was the OG Andrew Tate.
Yeah, like he's known for being super promiscuous, sleeping with a bunch of women, and women love him for whatever reason. I don't know what he does. I don't know. It says American influencer on Google. His thing was it says extravagant lifestyle and photos with scantily dressed female models.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
But very promiscuous. But I saw a podcast that he actually said that he prefers being monogamous. So this man who's had sex with a bunch of women, he says, and he's not a Christian.
He's not.
He says, I actually find more pleasure in being monogamous with one woman. Oh, he's from Tampa. Look at that. But anyway, he finds more pleasure in being with one woman.
Yeah.
So if you don't take the Bible if you don't want to take the Bible as a guide, your boy Dan Bilzerian, he's saying be monogamous.
And again, this was Andrew Tate before Andrew Tate was Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
Like this is the guy that all the young men would look up to because he was. I mean, you look at him. This dude's jacked. He's got money. And he's got women, Don't look him up on Instagram. You can Google him, but don't look him up on Instagram because you will stumble.
The other thing I wanted to say real quick before we end, I know we're over an hour, but the other example I wanted to say just to kind of wrap up as well, like not just the redemption aspect of it. If you're looking for something different, you got to change your environment. You got to change the people around you. And I'll say this example, like the Nelk boys were interviewing Ilya Topuria. They went to Spain interviewing him. And they almost got knocked out by Ilya Topuria because they did a slight. I would have gotten offended too, to be honest. Lord forgive me, but they kind of did a slight insult on Ilya's wife because apparently Ilya's the UFC champion, and he met his wife in Miami. Apparently, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And the guys, he said that Ilya just was like, yeah. They asked him, so Ilya, where'd you meet your wife? And he was like, Miami. And the guy said something like, oh wow, so something good does come out of Miami. And something like that. And that comment to me in that moment showed the ignorance and stupidity of men who, obviously, if you're only in Miami for clubs, of course you're not going to find a wife in the club.
Correct.
If you're not going to find your wife in the strip club, right? So that's where that comment came from.
Take a lesson from Kanye.
I don't know what lesson you're trying to provide.
Amber Rose. He tried to turn a hoe into a housewife and it did not work out.
Renee found his wife in Miami. I found my wife in Miami. Ilya Topuria found his wife in Miami. You found yours, hopefully in Jesus' name, right? In Miami. You're going to find yours in Miami, right? Because we're not at 11 finding our wives.
Right.
We were at church. I don't know where Ilya found hers, but, obviously if you're in the club, you're not going to find wifey material there. So change your environment, change the people around you, and seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, because people think it's just seek the kingdom of God, his righteousness as well. And all these things will be added to you.
And
So
one small thing that I would give as advice of something that when I was, I guess, green in my walk with God, when you are changing your life, don't dwell on the past because all it does is bring shame. So just as a key of hope, the past is the past. God has forgiven us for our sins.
Amen.
Which is why he died on the cross. So move forward with life. Move forward with improving your life. And whatever that means to the viewers, God will guide you. But that would be the best piece of advice, because for a very long time, I was so shameful of my past and everything I had done. And although people would be like, oh my God, you're such a good dad, and I see you're always with your girls, and you're always attentive to them, and you're always with them and spending time, I would live with that shame of, one, being very promiscuous,
Right.
two, messing up all my vows pretty much, from what I said I was going to do. And then even a step further, three, being a man that I had to walk around and say, yeah, I went through a divorce.
Right.
You know, I couldn't make it work.
Right.
So there's hope. God is a forgiving God. And just take it, you know, from there. For sure.
Amen.
Amen.
All righty, y'all. Well, we can wrap this up. We hope it blessed you. I think it certainly blessed us having this conversation. For sure. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
Peace.